Tell us about this guitar. Is this a vintage guitar? Is it a newer model?
It's a newer model. This is a reissue Gretsch White Falcon. It's my main guitar on stage right now. I've got other old Gretches and old Gibsons. About half of the songs on our new CD I did with what used to be my main guitar was a 53 Gibson 175. And I really love the P90 pickups, but just in our the old ones that I have, they sound great and they're perfect for the studio, but they're too buzzy for live. You know, certain gigs they'll be perfect, but we play so many different types of venues that you get into a place where the wiring's a little funky and they got a bunch of neon right by the stage, and it's too buzzy for the P90. So when Gretsch came out with the reissues, I tried one, and the Filtertrons that they had on the new ones were so clear, and were so much less buzz, and it still had the hollow body thing that I just decided to switch to the Gretsch reissues. And that was about in the early 90s, I guess. So yeah, and the one thing about these is that this is a replacement bridge. This isn't the stock bridge that came on these. And Gretsch makes them, and there are some aftermarket company makes them for Gretsch. And it's a little bit more sturdy, and I use this a bunch. And, one thing about arch tops is, I don't know if you noticed here or not, but this is tape. This is just black duck or gaffer's tape. That the way you're really supposed to do this is you're supposed to use a little violin rosin, and you find the placement of the bridge, and then you kind of strobe it, and then you mark it with a pencil, and then you put a little violin rosin, because that won't damage your finish, and then you set it back down there. But the problem with that is that I play so hard in so many gigs, I rest my hand up here a lot, that I just decided and then once you put the rosin down, if you're going to have to change, and I don't know exactly why this is, but I just like to be able to move this thing, so I could take the tape up at any time and adjust this to make sure it's going to fret out good. If I decide, okay, this is where I'll set it, and this is where it's going to be good enough to strobe, and then I find out, wow, I really need it to be up about that much further than if I've already, kind of glued it down to the top. I've got to redo all that process. So since it's not really, this isn't a show guitar or anything, it's my working guitar, then I just tape it so I can just pull it up and, screw with that anytime I want to. Because, I get a lot of action through here with this deal because I use the Bigsby quite a bit. So
this bridge is not anchored to the guitar in any way?
Well, it's an arch top. The arch top deal is that's the way they work. They're just kind of glued with violin rosin or some kind of a sticky substance down, and then the pressure of the strings will hold it into place. But it's like for me and stuff, I just want to make sure that sucker doesn't move. And then at the same time, I want to have the flexibility to be able to rip it up and start all over in case, I just feel like my intonation isn't quite right up here. Then I can adjust it better or move this to adjust to make sure it frets out good.
Are these Filtertron pickups?
Uh-huh.
Can you explain the difference to you between the P90s and the Filtertrons?
Well, for one thing, the Filtertron is a humbucking pickup. So that was the big thing there. And, I'm thinking about going back and using my Gibson more, or maybe another Gibson 175 with humbucking pickups. But, I don't know, I don't know if I'll ever do that or not, but having a humbucking pickups makes it so where I don't get as much noise and line stuff. And, I use several different kinds of, not several, but a couple of different effects here and there. And using the effects will give me even more buzz. If I was just going to plug straight into an amp, using the Gibson would be okay. But, it's one of those deals where you got the lights or something in the room and it's buzzing, then you move this way, you know, one of those deals that drives me nuts, you know, so I'd rather not have to worry about that when I'm doing a gig, so.
So the P90s are single coil.
But as far as the tone, the P90s, especially the old ones on my Gibson, there's something that's indescribably warm about them. I mean, it's just, they just sound really good. And also, you know, on that guitar, I used it for quite a bit of this last session. It has flat wound. I put flat wound strings on it. And that's another thing, you know, Cliff Gallup used flat wound strings. A lot of my guitar heroes from the 50s, you know, used flat wound strings. You know, people don't realize that a lot when they're trying to get an authentic tone. But a lot of those older guys, you know, didn't have the round wound strings. But
what does that do for their sound?
well, for one thing, like a Joe Mathis type of deal, he plays a lot of, you know, you hear that little thing going on here? You don't get that with a, you don't get a lot, well, that's Hot Rod Lincoln, that's not Joe Mathis, but you know, you got this little extra scratch here. You don't get that with flat wounds. And so you can really, you're on a slow E string, you can really fly, hit a lot of fast notes, a lot cleaner than having this buzz sound all the time. So, and then also sliding between chords and stuff. You know, you get this noise. That's completely gone with flat wound strings. So it's kind of a cool trick for the studio.
All the time.
Well, because I'm not sure, you know. I mean, I like to go for different stuff for different things, you know, and you know, maybe live on a couple of things it might be good to bring out flat wound strings, but you know, there's other kind of rock and roll kind of things that I do in other songs during the set that flat wounds wouldn't quite work on, you know, so they wouldn't work for me for all songs. You know, if I'm going for quite a bit of a really Telecaster type of twang kind of thing, it might not work very good. Or if I'm going for a really hard rock thing, or, you know, sometimes I even do the thing, you know, so that doesn't work with flat wound, so